Join with me. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, next we do loving kindness meditation. Let's do that meditation. We couldn't practice that for a long time. Please sit comfortably. When I'm guiding you, listen to these words and try to think to yourself. Now try to bring a sense of love to yourself. Let go all the worries or any hurtful memories that you might carry. Any negative thing that is distracting you right now. Please let them go. Forgive yourself to the person you are, here and now, in this present moment. Accept yourself the way you are in this moment. And listen to these words and think to yourself. May I be free from anger. May I be free from ill will. May be free from jealousy. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live in peace. May I live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this place be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this city be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this province be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this country be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this world be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone be free from anger, be free from ill will, be free from jealousy, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live May they live in peace. May they live happily. May they live happily. May they live happily. 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 Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, now you can open your eyes. We were studying about the feelings and the mindfulness. During our last week discussion, we studied about the difference in the awareness, what we call the awareness, and also how it different with the feelings. I think now you don't have a question about that. Now, I wanted to share that one during a conversation about mindfulness, because sometimes people misunderstand this too. So for some friends, it's really hard to know what is the difference of these two. Okay, so we studied consciousness has the power of cognition. Actually, the exact term that we used was the vijnana in Buddhist language, and that is the consciousness, approximate translation. Normally in modern day, we can say that is the awareness. And it was arising together with the internal senses and external senses. That's how we learned so far. And the feeling was something that we become sensitive. The feeling could be happiness, or which means the pleasant feeling, or unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. And during our discussion on the mindfulness, we were in the second foundation of the mindfulness, which means the second ground to develop mindfulness was the feelings. And we were having that discussion. And during that discussion, we wanted to know about, is there a difference in between these two consciousness, awareness, or the feelings? So we already studied that one. And we used to do impermanence meditation. Whenever we meet, we normally do the impermanence meditation. And we used to do that during our last week discussions, in order to get a better understanding about what we are studying during these days. Do you remember we studied the feelings and the mindfulness and the feelings. Do you remember the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta part where that we studied the instructions Buddha gave? It was actually 2 weeks ago, or maybe, no, more than 2 weeks ago. Let's go and let's look at that teaching where Buddha says about that instruction on developing mindfulness over the feelings, observing the feelings. And how does a mendicant meditate observing an aspect of feelings? Then he said, it's when a mendicant who feels a pleasant feeling knows I feel a pleasant feeling. When they feel a painful feeling, they know I feel a painful feeling. When they feel a neutral feeling, they know I feel a neutral feeling. So we studied about that 3 different feelings. And also we studied how that we get to know about that. And then we went to that the other part. When they feel a pleasant feeling of the flesh, they know I feel a pleasant feeling of the flesh. When they feel a pleasant feeling not of the flesh, they know I feel a pleasant feeling not of the flesh. When they feel a painful feeling of the flesh, they know I feel a painful feeling of the flesh. When they feel a painful feeling not of the flesh, they know I feel a painful feeling not of the flesh. When they feel a neutral feeling of the flesh, they know I feel a neutral feeling of the flesh. When they feel a neutral feeling not of the flesh, they know I feel a neutral feeling not of the flesh. Okay, so we studied up until to that line of this sutta. And next we have the other part where Buddha says this. And so they meditate observing an aspect of feelings internally, externally, both internally and externally. In the Pali, if we go to the Pali part, iti ajjattang va vedanasu vedanānupassī viharati. Bahiddha va vedanasu vedanānupassī viharati. Ajjatta bahiddha va vedanasu vedanānupassī viharati. What does this mean? One meditate observing an aspect of feelings internally. When the feelings arises in within us, whether it is happiness, sadness, neutral or pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, when they arises in within us, we live observing those feelings as it is. And the externally means something apart from us, something that someone else experiencing. They too feels the feelings, and we kind of get to know, or this person too feels these feelings, and they also have the impermanent feelings, both internally and externally. And they see that feelings are arising, whether it is inside of us or apart from us, that they live by observing those feelings. When Buddha says internally, externally, it is combined. So there is no way that they will abandon observing the feelings. They completely get the understanding about when the feelings arises and when the feeling vanishes. When it comes to externally, it can also be something that separated from us in another person, or maybe that when we go to another place, like there can be a special place that we go, then that place would be a place that we get to feel something. So there is something that is an external, bahiddha, external, both internally, externally. In the bottom, they see both within themselves and within others. This is specifically focused to the individuals, like the beings that we live with. So they can also have feelings like the same way that us. Normally that we confuse when we are going through the suffering or pain. So we might not understand why do we have these painful feelings. Same way, when someone close to us going through the same pain, we would not understand why do they have this painful feeling. So if we observe uh, those feelings too, if we get actually here, if we get the correct knowledge of the impermanence that other people are feeling, we won't have resistance, or we won't have any uh, like a conflict when we go to understand another person's feelings and also our feeling. Don't worry, we dwell deep into this concept, and we will go together with the other instructions and other suttas to understand it better. For now, just let's think. It is when a person observes the feelings, when they arises in within us, and when that arises within the others. Especially when it comes to the body meditation, if you remember that we studied, the body meditation can be developed internally and externally also. In that meditation, it said that the person observes the breathing internally and observes the breathing externally. That means actually that they have this clear understanding about how we breathe and how other breathes. Which means, like during the meditation, when we go deep into the meditation, we see the breathing is not permanent, it's not solid, it's just a succession of the events. It's in a process of arising and falling. So we get to know that understanding of our own breath and of the breath of another person. So we won't be confused about wherever the breath a person takes in and gives out. We won't get any confusion. We get a better understanding about the impermanence. Same way the feelings. Let's go to the other part. With respect to feelings, they meditate observing the liability to originate, to vanish, and to originate and vanish, which means that they get this understanding about the impermanence. When it said that liability to originate and vanish means, actually that is when they understand that origination and the perishing or the ceasing of that the feelings. And originate and vanish. Samudaya Dhammanupassīvā Vedanāsu viharati, Vaya Dhammanupassīvā Vedanāsu viharati. Samudaya Dhammanupassīvā Vedanāsu viharati. Actually, this part in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta invites us to see the insights of the feelings, which means the deep aspect of the feelings, which means understanding fully about the feelings and its impermanence. A person can start from focusing to the feelings that they experience, focus into the feelings, mere observing the feelings. But when they gradually develop mindfulness, they go to the deep understanding through the mindfulness that these feelings are having this impermanence. So that is why it is said that this person internally see that origination and vanishing, externally see that origination and vanishing. And he says, oh, mindfulness is established that feeling exists to the extent necessary for knowledge and mindfulness. They meditate independent, not grasping at anything in the world. So it is said that the mindfulness come to the fruition, like the top, like the correct and the complete understanding of the mindfulness is established in that person regarding the feelings, that feeling exists. You see, if there is a person who going through the pain, there is this unpleasant feeling. When they gradually develop mindfulness, they start with observing the feelings. But if they successfully develop meditation, successfully establish mindfulness to the feeling, that they can experience a kind of understanding deep within the true nature of the feeling. Then it is said that their mindfulness journey will be complete, and that is when they understand feeling exists. Which means they get to know the true nature of the feeling as it is. There is painful feeling, and it is existing in me. Nothing we can do apart from knowing that it exists. Because if the conditions like the contexts are bringing us these feelings of pain, other than understanding that it exists in us, there's nothing we can do until the conditions falls apart, until the conditions disappears. We need to acknowledge that there is feeling and it exists in us. That is why this impermanence understanding develops patience. That's why it develops confidence. That's why it develops like the fearlessness, bravery, courage. Everything develops because of understanding that feelings exist. Not that we just become like we go without like answers, but we just observe that feeling exists, and that's where that every possibilities arise, because we accept there is this feeling. It is not just mere thinking that okay, I have the feeling, but it is that deeper understanding that feelings, whether it is unpleasant, even though that it is suffering, that suffering is arising and vanishing, and in between changing. So they get that understanding. To the extent necessary for the knowledge and mindfulness, it is said that it develops even more into the knowledge and into the mindfulness, which means the feelings can be used as a meditation object to practice meditation, to develop the mindfulness, to develop the knowledge. When we understand the feeling exists, Buddha says, they meditate independent, not grasping at anything in the world. When he says they meditate independent means that they continue in the meditation, in the mindfulness practices, not grasping at anything in the world. Because when it comes to anything in the world, that means it can be something that coming through the senses. So they live without that attachment to anything in the world. They independently observes the feelings when they arises and then when they vanishes. That's how a mendicant meditates, by observing an aspect of feelings. Evampiko bhikkhave bhikkhu vedanasu vedanānupassī viharati. Vedanānupassana nittita. This is the ending of the contemplation of the feelings. Okay? Starting from observing the feelings, step by step, that person come to the understanding the pleasant, and when it is right time to arise the pain, So we understand the painful feeling, and then we go to the neutral feeling. We observe that when it arises. Consciousness is a place that we can observe all these feelings. I feel a pleasant feeling of the flesh. We understood about this according to the teachings that it is the sensual pleasure, happiness. So they observe that too. And when there is not of the flesh, which means that when the feeling arises uh, because of the meditations, because of the spiritual life, we understand those feelings. And when there arises the pain of the flesh, because of the separation, we can get that kind of a painful feeling. So we understand that. And when there is a painful feeling, not of the flesh, which means the spiritual life brings kind of a pain when we are going through the meditations, they are not being successful. So we understand that also. They feel the neutral of the flesh. We understood about this in detail. So I won't spend time about that, understanding about that, teaching about that in this moment. So I feel when they feel a neutral feeling, not of the flesh, they also understand that. So they observe internally and externally the same thing. How we can see another person's feelings is actually by their reactions, their expressions, their speech, or through their actions. Otherwise, we can't observe when they experience those feelings inside. But we can know that what things that leading that person to get into those feelings because of the conditions. So we understand because of the conditions we feel, because of the conditions others feels. And the same way that they understand because of the conditions that these feelings arising, because of the conditions that these feelings ceasing. So that's how this person focus to the feelings and understands that these feelings exist.
I have a question.
Yes,
When you talked about the feeling of the flesh
yes.
and not the feeling of the flesh or whatever, it's the opposite.
Yeah, opposite. Yes, exactly.
In 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 a previous lecture,
Yes,
you called it the spiritual feeling.
yes.
So, what would be, if we interpret it now, the feeling of the flesh, and he knows if the feeling is not of the flesh, then we say the spiritual feeling. Can there be a negative spiritual feeling?
Yeah, spiritual negative feeling means that not of the flesh painful feeling.
Not of the
Not
painful.
of the flesh included in all the spiritual feelings.
Sorry, I still don't. I'm slow today. I
Yes.
still don't understand. Say that again, please.
I mean, Manfred, that when we says that spiritual painful feeling, that
Okay.
means that feeling of the pain that is not of the flesh, which
Okay.
means
Okay. I think if you
separated from the sensual pleasures, happiness.
if you put
Spirituality is all about like leaving the sense pleasures.
okay,
In Buddhism, spirituality is all about leaving the sense pleasures.
yeah. So if I put the word pain into the picture, it
Yes,
becomes more understandable. Thank you. Thank
yes,
you,
yes,
Bhante.
yes, yes. Because our struggle during the meditation is to let go the sense pleasures.
Mhm.
If you would accept that or not, it is actually what is going through the meditation. We are trying to let go that wandering mind, which means, in a way, we are going to leave the sense pleasures.
Mm.
When we stay in the meditation center in the day-long retreat, actually what we are doing is to separate our body in a physical way out from the sense pleasures. Because when we live at the household life in that moment, we always indulge with the pleasure of the senses. So when we go to the uh, spiritual life, that is when we get to know about the feelings of the spiritual life.
Yes, if we physically set ourselves apart, we
Yes,
feel the spiritual uh, the spiritual feeling.
yes.
Mhm. Thank you.
I mean, when the meditation is not getting successful, even when we are in the meditation, there is an unpleasant feeling of the spiritual life or unpleasant feeling not of the flesh. So that too, that we recognize, that too, that we observe the feeling as it is, and we know that this unpleasant feeling exists. Because that's not what happens when the meditation get won't success. We would tend to think that, oh, this is because that this teaching is not correct, or the teacher is not correct, or the way I do it is not correct. But if we observed it, the feeling just as it is, the neutral feeling or the painful, spiritual painful feeling as it is, so it brings that understanding, oh, this painful feeling of the spiritual life also arises, stays for a while, and vanishes. Then we develop that understanding about the feeling. Next, we can start our meditation again. But because of not having mindfulness over these feelings, but we normally react, immediately react when these feelings arises. But what the Buddha says is that try to establish mindfulness over the feelings. That way, it will develop even more understanding. Let's say the breathing meditation is not getting successful. We would start judging, oh, this meditation is not getting success. Why this is not getting success? Now we might have that unpleasant feeling in that moment in the spiritual life. So what we do is that we bring the same mindfulness that we were observing the breathing to observe that feeling that we are getting, because that we think, oh, my meditation is not getting successful, so I should observe this unpleasant feeling too. Then you observe that unpleasant feeling when it arising. Let's say that you keep on doing this meditation, so you get a pain in your body. Then what do? You bring your same mindfulness that you are developing to observe the pain in the body, because that pain in the body brought you by the meditation, by the spiritual life. It came to you because that you are meditating. So you observe that feeling also.
I think previously
Yes,
you called it a balanced feeling
yes,
or equanimity.
yes.
Is that is what you're telling us? That's how we should approach the feeling, with equanimity, with a balanced with a balanced mind.
You are referring to the spiritual or the sense pleasure, like the flesh.
Well,
Neutral means?
no, if I think if I think of feeling in the feeling, I should approach both the pleasant and unpleasant feeling in the same manner.
Yeah. Your practice is to mindful focus. Your practice is to develop mindfulness over whatever the feelings arising in your body and in your mind when those things arising. Because as we studied, feelings are dependent on the contacts. Whenever these feelings are arising, you one by one, you observe them.
Mhm.
If you close your eyes, you are in your mental world, you can easily observe feelings are arising in you. Happy feelings arises, sad feeling arises, neutral feeling arises, and spiritual feeling arises, sense pleasure feeling arises. Now that become your meditation. That become your meditation. When you close your eyes, your meditation is observing the feelings. Now you are not observing the body, but in that moment, you are observing the feelings when they arises. When the feelings arises, you observe the feelings just as it is. Um, Now, when Buddha taught that when you observe the feeling, he already taught that those are the entire um, like this group of entire set of feelings that you can observe. Apart from those set of feelings, there is nothing. There is no any feeling separated from the ones that Buddha discussed in here. You can find any other feeling that won't set up into these instructions when Buddha gives. There won't be any other feelings that you can't put into this analysis of the Buddha's teaching, the instructions of the feelings. So every feelings are included here. In a practical manner, when we go out, so in those moments, we get to see things, we get to hear things, we taste food, and we talk to the people. All those moments are opportunities to observe the feelings. When we are communicating with another person, that person speaks to us. So according to the speech, we get the feelings in within us. What we do is that we try to catch those feelings when they're arising in us while we are having that conversation. In these instructions, what the Buddha says that when you observe those feelings as it is, let's say that person said you something hurting, so now you see that there is unpleasant feeling is arising in you. You observe this feeling. Buddha says the final goal of observing that feeling is that it takes you to the understanding feeling exists. That painful feeling exists.
I think, Bante, I think that's quite understandable. But how is it then? Then I don't really understand external feeling and internal feeling in that respect. So, how do you differentiate between external and internal if the feeling arises?
You differentiate whatever the feeling externally has is also a feeling that exists. Whatever the feeling that is inside of you, your understanding is feeling exists. A special point when you understand at the end that the feeling exists means that you know for sure without faith, you know for sure without listening to somebody, you know for sure without your logic, you know for sure without your belief that for sure you know through the direct experience, oh, this feeling is impermanent. Then the awakening come to you that there is nothing to attach in the world, because everything in the world connected through the feeling. You liberate when you know that feeling exists, there is nothing to attach. Even in another person, when another person goes through that, we understand feeling exists. I said that this is not abandoning the responsibilities, but this is giving more understanding about what you should do in that moment. Sorry for being too much like metaphysical, like deep philosophical, but this is the end of our meditation on the feelings. If you are confused, you can go through the discussions that we did a few weeks ago. You can find that online. Please go through that over and over again. I was very mindful while I was teaching these sessions over the months. So I remember that I was like studying before that and sharing that this is place that we are. So all the set of like discussions are like grouped according to the specific part of the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. If you are confused, you can go back to the sessions and you can study those things. Because we can't always start up a new like the always the beginner level, like always the same thing. So it's true that it can be confusing, but I see that it's because that we couldn't study well. So if you can go back to that teachings, and if you read the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, it will get to clarify more teachings on that. And don't worry, we will study one more session about the feelings. Okay, thank you so much for joining with the discussion. You can get the YouTube link if you stay. And thank you so much by the power of this merit that we accumulated by studying teachings on the feelings over the months. May we soon able to attain the perfect bliss of mind. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much for joining with me. May you be well and happy. Take care, friends.